Hey, I'm Dr. Gordo, and welcome back to The Raven and the Writing Desk. Today we're looking at Act 5 of William Shakespeare's Hamlet, the exciting conclusion. If you're just joining us, you probably want to watch the first 4 acts first, links down in the description. But if you're brand new here, welcome. We're doing a line-by-line reading of Hamlet with the goal of establishing a grounded understanding of the play by just looking at the text with a little bit of commentary, but really no analysis. And please accept my apologies for my amateur reading of the play. Without further ado, let's begin Act 5, Scene 1. We open on a graveyard outside of Elsinore. 2 gravediggers discuss Ophelia's death. Hamlet and Horatio encounter them. After a talk with a gravedigger, Hamlet and Horatio hide as Ophelia's funeral procession arrives. Hamlet confronts Laertes. The scene opens with some comic relief. 2 gravediggers, sometimes described as 2 clowns, are discussing Ophelia's death. Not that there's anything funny about it, but just to break the dramatic tension, they're discussing whether or not Ophelia took her own life. Because if she died in her madness, then she deserves a Christian burial. In this world, though, if she took her own life, that's an unforgivable sin, and she shouldn't be buried in consecrated ground. The first gravedigger asks, is she to be buried in Christian burial when she willfully seeks her own salvation? I tell thee she is, therefore make her grave straight. The crowner hath sat on her and finds it Christian burial. Claudius has intervened and made it very clear that yes, this is to be a Christian burial. So again, there's some circumventing of proper ceremony in the kingdom. How can that be, unless she drowned herself in her own defense? Why, 'tis found so. It must be se offendo. It cannot be else, for here lies the point. If I drown myself wittingly, it argues an act, and an act hath 3 branches. It is to act, to do, to perform. Argal, she drowned herself willingly. Nay, but hear you, good Mendelver, give me leave. Here lies the water. Good. Here stands the man. Good. If the man go to this water and drown himself, it is will he, nil he goes. Mark you that. But if the water come to him and drown him, he drowns not himself. Argal, he that is not guilty of his own death shortens not his own life. But is it law? Ah, marry it is. Crowner's quest law. Will you have truth on it? If this had not been a gentlewoman, she should have been buried out of Christian burial. Why, there thou sayest, and the more pity that great folk should have countenance in this world to drown or hang themselves more than they're even Christian. After all, the real gentlemen are workers, the true heirs of Adam. Come, my spade. There is no ancient gentleman but gardeners, ditchers, and gravemakers. They hold up Adam's profession. Was he a gentleman? He was the first to bear arms. Why, he had none. What? Art a heathen? How dost thou understand the Scripture? The Scripture says Adam digged. Could he dig without arms? And now we get a riddle. I'll put another question to thee. If thou answerest me not to the purpose, confess thyself. Go to. What is he that builds stronger than either the mason, the shipwright, or the carpenter? The gallows maker, for that frame outlived 1,000 tenants. I like thy wit well, in good faith. The gallows does well. But how does it well? It does well to those that do ill. Now, thou dost ill to say the gallows is built stronger than the church. Argal, the gallows may do well to thee. To it again. Come, to it. Mass, I cannot tell. Cudgel thy brain no more about it, for your dull ass will not mend his pace with beating. And when you are asked this question next, say, a grave maker. The houses he makes last till doomsday. One of the gravediggers exits to go get some liquor, and the other remains to do his work. Sings a little song. In youth, when I did love, methought it was very sweet to contract. Oh, the time for, my beloved, oh, methought there, was nothing a meet. Horatio and Hamlet enter the scene, and Hamlet is a little miffed that this guy is having so much fun digging a grave. Has this fellow no feeling of his business? He sings in grave making. Horatio agrees that workers are simple. Custom hath made it in him a property of easiness. 'Tis even so, the hand of little employment hath the daintier sense. As the gravedigger works, he comes across skulls from previous burials, and he places them there on the ground. And Hamlet then has a running commentary on who these people might have been. That skull had a tongue in it, and could sing once. How the knave jowls it to the ground, as it were Cain's jawbone, that did the first murder. This might be the pate of a politician, which this ass now overreaches, once that would circumvent God. Might it not? It might, my lord. Or of a courtier, which could say, Good morrow, sweet lord, how dost thou, sweet lord? This might be my lord such a one that praised my lord such a one's horse when he went to beg it. Might it not? Ay, my lord. There's another. Why may not that be the skull of a lawyer? Where be his quiddities now, his quilities, his cases, his tenures, and his tricks? Why does he suffer this mad knave now to knock him about the scone with a dirty shovel, and will not tell him of his action of battery? This fellow might have been in his time a great buyer of land, with his statutes, his reconnaissances, his fines, his double vouchers, his recoveries, to have this fine pate full of fine dirt. Will his vouchers vouch him no more of his purchases? And doubles one too, that the length and breadth of a pair of indentures. The very conveyances of his lands will scarcely lie in this box, and must the inheritor himself have no more? Not a jot more, my lord. Hamlet asks Horatio, Is the parchment made of sheepskin? Ay, my lord, and of calfskins too. Hamlet decides to question the grave maker, and keep in mind he does not know this is Ophelia's grave. A battle of wit ensues. They are sheep and calves which seek out assurances in that, I will speak to this fellow. Whose grave this, sirrah? Mine, sir. I think it be thine indeed, for thou liest in it. You lie out on it, sir, and therefore 'tis not yours. For my part, I do not lie in it, yet it is mine. Thou dost lie in it, to be in it, and to say it is thine. 'Tis for the dead, not for the quick. Therefore thou liest. 'Tis a quick lie, sir. 'Twill away again from me to you. What man dost thou dig for? For no man, sir. What woman, then? For none neither. Who is to be buried in it? One that was a woman, sir, but rest her soul, she's dead. Hamlet can't believe the nerve of this guy. How absolute the knave is. We must speak by the card, or equivocation will undo us. By the Lord, Horatio, this 3 years I have took note of it. The age is grown so picked that the toe of the peasant comes so near the heel of the courtier, he galls his jibe. Hamlet continues his questioning, and we get some exposition. How long hast thou been a grave maker? Of all the days in the year, I came to it that day that our last King Hamlet overcame Fortinbras. It turns out the day that King Hamlet defeated King Fortinbras just so happens to be the day Prince Hamlet was born. How long is that since? Cannot you tell that? Every fool can tell that. It was that very day that young Hamlet was born, he that is mad, and sent to England. So the kingdom is aware of the madness of Prince Hamlet. However, he doesn't recognize Prince Hamlet in front of him, but given the medieval time, that's not unusual. Why? 'Twill not be seen in him there. There the men are as mad as he. How came he mad? Very strangely, they say. How strangely? Faith, even with losing his wits. Upon what ground? Why, here in Denmark. The grave digger finally gives a clear answer. I have been sexton here, man and boy, 30 years. The grave digger finally gives a straight answer. I have been sexton here, man and boy, 30 years. Therefore, Hamlet is 30 years of age. Allegedly. Hamlet gets inquisitive. How long will a man lit in the earth he rot? Faith, if he be not rotten before he die, and we have many pocky courses nowadays that will scarce hold the laying in, he will last you some 8 or 9 year. A tanner will last you 9. Why he more than another? Why, sir, His hide is so tanned with his trade that he will keep out the water a great while, and your water is a sorry care of your horse some dead body. He points out a particular skull. Here's a skull that hath lie in the earth 23 years. Whose was it? A horse and mad fellow it was. Who do you think it was? Nay, I know not. A pestilence on him for a mad rogue. He poured a flagon of Rhenish on my head once. This same skull, sir, was York's skull, the king's jester. This? Even that. Yorick, the court jester, entertained Hamlet when he was a child, and we get a little insight into what seems like a happy childhood. Let me see. Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio, a fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy. He hath borne me on his back 1,000 times, and now abhorred in my imagination it is. My gorge rises at it. Here hung those lips that I have kissed, I know not oft. Where be your jibes now, your gambols, your songs, your flashes of merriment that want to set the table on a roar? Not one now to mock your own grinning. Quite chapfallen. Now get you to my lady's chamber, and tell her, let her paint an inch thick. To this favour she must come. Make her laugh at that. Prithee, Horatio, tell me one thing. What's that, my lord? Dost thou think Alexander looked over this fashion in the earth? Even so. Even Alexander the Great ended up like this. And smelt so? Even so, my lord. To what base uses we may return, Horatio? Why not imagination trace the noble dust of Alexander till he find it stopping a bunghole? Hamlet's pointing out the cold logic of life. Horatio, 'twere to consider too curiously to consider so. Hamlet, no, faith, not a jot, but to follow him thither, with modesty enough and likelihood to lead it, as thus. Alexander died, Alexander was buried, Alexander returneth to dust. And we can say the same for Julius Caesar. The dust is earth, of earth we make loam, and why of that loam whereto he was not converted might they not stop a beer barrel? Imperious Caesar, dead and turned to clay, might stop a hole to keep the wind away. Oh, that earth which kept the world in awe should patch a wall to expel the winter's flaw. They notice a funeral approaching. They don't know it's for Ophelia. But soft a while. Here comes the king, the queen, and courtiers. Who is this they follow? And with such maimed rites, this doth betoken the course they followed did this desperation hand fordo its own life. 'Twere of some estate. Couch we a while, and mark. So it must have been somebody important, some members of the court are there. Claudius arranged a Christian burial for Ophelia, but the priest is not comfortable with it, and it's a really low-key funeral. Laertes asked the priest, what ceremony else? Her obsequies have been as far and large as we have warranty. The priest, sometimes described as the doctor, does not think Ophelia should have received a Christian burial. Her death was doubtful, and by that great command oversways the order, she should in ground unsanctified been lodged till the last trumpet. After all, she did get some stuff. For charitable prayer shards, flints, and pebbles should be thrown on her, yet here she is allowed her virgin krantz, her maiden strudements, and the bringing home of bell and burial. Laertes is disappointed. Must no more be done? No more be done! We should profane the service of the dead to sing a requiem, and such rest to her as the peace-parted souls. Laertes oversees the lowering of the coffin. Lay her in the earth, and from her fair and unpolluted flesh may violets spring. I tell thee, churlish priest, a ministering angel shall my sister be when thou liest howling. Hamlet now realizes what's happening. What? The fair Ophelia? Gertrude. Sweets to the sweet. Farewell. I hope thou should have been my Hamlet's wife. I thought thy bride bed to have decked, sweet maid, and not have stewed thy grave. Laertes in his grief begins to escalate and wants to hold Ophelia one last time. O treble woe, fall 10 times treble on that cursed head, whose wicked deed thy most ingenious sense deprived thee of. Hold off the earth a while, till I have caught her once more in mine arms. Laertes jumps into the grave. Now pile your dust upon the quick and dead. Tell this flat a mountain you have made it overtopped old Pelion, or the skyish head of blue Olympus. Hamlet now lets his presence be known. What is he whose grief bears such an emphasis, whose phrase of sorrow conjures the wandering stars and make them stand like wander-wounded bears? This is I, Hamlet the Dane. Laertes, seeing Hamlet, attacks. The devil take thy soul, thou prayest not well. Hamlet has something to share. I prithee take thy fingers from my throat, for though I am not splentive and rash, yet have I in me something dangerous, which let thy wisdom fear. Hold off thy hand. Claudius wants them separated. Pluck them asunder. Gertrude, Hamlet, Hamlet. Horatio, good my lord, be quiet. Will I fight with him upon this theme until my eyelids will no longer wag? Gertrude, oh my son, what theme? I loved Ophelia. 40,000 brothers could not with all their equality of love make up my sum. What wilt thou do for her? Claudius, oh, he is mad, Laertes. Hamlet continues to rave. Swords, show me what thou do. Whoop, weep, woot, fight, whoop, fast, would tear thyself, would drink an easel, eat a crocodile? For the love of God, forbear him. I'll do it. Thou'st just come here to whine, to outface me with the leaping in her grave, be buried quick with her, and so will I. So Laertes and Hamlet are arguing who loved Ophelia more. And of thou prate of mountains, let them throw millions of acres on us, till our ground, singing his pate against the burning zone, make Oza like a wart. Nay, O art thou mouth, I'll rant as well as thou. Claudius has had enough. This is mere madness, and thus a while the fit will work on him, anon, as patient as the female dove, when that her golden couplets are disclosed, his silence will sit drooping. Hamlet, before exiting, reminds Laertes that they used to be friends. Hear you, sir, what is the reason that you use me thus? I loved you ever, but it is no matter. Let Hercules himself do what he may. The cat will meow, and the dog will have his day. Claudius asks Horatio to follow after Hamlet. I pray thee, good Horatio, wait upon him. Claudius also asks Gertrude to go after Hamlet while he has a word with Laertes. Strengthen your patience in our last night's speech. We'll put the matter to the present push. Good Gertrude, set some watch upon over your son. This grave shall have a living monument. An hour of quiet thereby shall we see. Till then in patience our proceedings be. Recap Scene 5, Act 1. Hamlet and Horatio return to Elsinore via a graveyard. The kingdom is aware of Hamlet's madness. Hamlet and Laertes argue over who loved the deceased Ophelia more, and Claudius reminds Laertes of the plan. Act 5, Scene 2. Private room, followed by the Grand Hall of Elsinore. Hamlet recounts events since leaving Elsinore. An invitation to a friendly duel with Laertes seems suspect, but Hamlet agrees. Claudius's plan falls apart, causing multiple deaths. A dying Hamlet is informed that a conquering Fortinbras has arrived. The scene starts in the middle of a conversation between Horatio and Hamlet. Hamlet, so much for this, sir. Now shall you see the other. Do you remember all the circumstance? Remember it, my lord. One night at sea, Hamlet was quite restless. Sir, in my heart there was a kind of fighting that would not let me sleep. Our indiscretion sometimes serves us well when our deep plots do pall, and that should learn us that there's a divinity that shapes our ends, rough-hewn them how we will. That is most certain. Hamlet sneaks into the cabin of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern and find the letter that they're carrying. Up from my cabin, groped I to find out them, fingered their packet, and in fine withdrew to mine own room, making so bold, my fears forgetting manners, to unfold their grand commission. where I found Horatio a royal knavery. The letter calls for the execution of Hamlet, an exact command that on the supervised, no leisure abated, no, not to stay the grinding of the axe, my head should be struck off. Is it possible? Hamlet shows Horatio the letter. Here's the commission. Read it at more leisure. But wilt thou hear how I did proceed? I beseech you. Hamlet replaces the letter with one of his own. I sat me down, devised a new commission, wrote it fair. I once did hold it, as our statics do, a baseness to write fair, and laboured much to forget that learning. But, sir, now it did me a yeoman's service. Wilt thou know the effect of what I wrote? Ay, good my lord. The new letter orders the execution of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. On the view and knowing of these contents, without debatement further, more or less, he should those bearers put to sudden death, not shriving time allowed. How is it sealed? Why, even in that was heaven ordinate. I had my father's signet in my purse, which was modelled on that Danish seal, the changeling never known. Now, the next day was our sea fight, and what to this was sequent thou knowest already. Horatio, so Guildenstern and Rosencrantz go to it. Hamlet has no remorse. Why, man, they did make love to this employment. They are not near my conscience. Their defeat does by this own insuation grows. 'Tis dangerous when the baser nature comes between the past and felt in sense's point of mighty opposites. They shouldn't have tried to live above their station. Horatio can't believe it. Why, what a king is this? Hamlet then recounts the crimes of Claudius, including the fact that he feels he stole the election, he stole the crown from Prince Hamlet. Does it not, think thee, stand me now upon, he that hath killed my king and whored my mother, popped in between the election and my hopes, thrown out this angle for my proper life? Horatio points out that it's only a matter of time before the English crown reports back. It must be shortly known to him from England what is the issue of the business there. It will be short, the interim's mine, and a man's life no more than to say one. Hamlet takes a moment to say that he is sorry for the way he acted around Laertes, that he understands that Laertes wants revenge as much as he does, and he'll make it up to him. I am very sorry, good Horatio, that to Laertes I forgot myself, for by the image of my cause I see the portraiture of his. I'll court his favours, but sure, the bravery of his grief did put me into a towering passion. Someone's entering. Horatio, peace, who comes here? It is Osric, a courtier. Your lordship is right, welcome back to Denmark. And now we get a little bit more comic relief before the grand finale. Hamlet greets Osric, but then makes a side comment to Horatio. I humbly thank you, sir. Thou knowest this waterfly? Horatio, no, my good lord. Hamlet explains that he finds Osric despicable. He's only at court because he owns a lot of land. Thy state is more the more gracious, for 'tis a vice to know him. He hath much land, and fertile. Let a beast be lord of beasts, and his crib shall stand at the king's mess. 'Tis a chough, but, as to say, spacious in the possession of dirt. Osric is a bit uncomfortable in his new position, and he overcompensates with formal language. Sweet lord, if your lordship were at leisure, I should impact a thing to you from his majesty. Hamlet, not really taking him seriously, kind of wants to play with him. I will receive it, sir, with all diligence of spirit. Put your bonnet to its right use, 'tis for the head. Osric protests, saying the room is quite warm, but Hamlet corrects him, it's actually quite chilly. I thank your lordship, it is very hot. No, believe me, 'tis very cold, the wind is northerly. Osric obeys, but then Hamlet changes his mind. It is indifferent cold, my lord, indeed, but yet methinks it is very sultry and hot for my complexion. Exceedingly, my lord, it is very sultry as 'twere, I cannot tell how. My lord, his majesty bade me signify to you that he has laid a great wager on your head. Sir, this is the matter. I beseech you, remember. This time Osric declines to put this hat back on. Nay, good my lord, for my ease, in good faith, sir, here is newly come to court Laertes. Believe me, an absolute gentleman, full of most excellent differences, a very soft society and great showing. Indeed, to speak feelingly of him, he is the card or calendar of gentry, for you shall find in him the continent of what part a gentleman would see. But when Hamlet interrupts Osric's chain of thought, he forgets what he's saying. What imports the nomination of this gentleman? Of Laertes? Even Horatio wants to get in on this. His purse is empty already. All his golden words are spent. Of him, sir. I know you are not ignorant. I would you did, sir. Yet in faith, if you did, it would not approve me. Well, sir? I know you are not ignorant of what excellence Laertes is. I dare not confess that, lest I should compare with him in excellence. But to know a man well were to know himself. I mean, sir, for his weapon, but in the imputation laid on him by them, in his need he's unfollowed. What's his weapon? Rapier and dagger. That's two of his weapons, but well. Osric gets to the bet. The king, sir, hath wagered with him 6 Barbary horses, against which he has pawned, as I take it, 6 French rapiers and poniards, with their assigns as girdle, hangers, and so. 3 of the carriages, in faith, are very dear to fancy, very responsive to the hilts, most delicate carriages, and of very liberal conceit. Hamlet doesn't know what Osric's talking about, and Horatio suggests that they get a dictionary to try to understand. What call you the carriages? I knew you must be edified by the marchant ere you had done. The carriages, sir, are the hangers. Hamlet recaps the bet. The phrase would be more germane to the matter if we could carry a cannon by our sides. I would it might be hangers till then. But on. 6 Barbary horses against 6 French swords, their assigns, and 3 liberal conceited carriages, that's the French bet against the Danish. Why is this all in pawned, as you call it? The king, sir, hath laid, sir, that in a dozen passes between yourself and him, he shall not exceed you 3 hits. He hath laid on 12 for 9, and it would come to immediate trial if your lordship would vouchsafe the answer. If you're ready, we can get going right now. Hamlet wants to know if he has a choice, but it doesn't seem that he does. How if I answer no? I mean, my lord, the opposition of your person in trial. Hamlet agrees. Sir, I will walk here in the hall. If it please his majesty, it is the breathing time of day with me. Let the foils be brought, the gentleman willing, and the king hold his purpose. I will win for him if I can. If not, I will gain nothing but my shame and the odd hits. Shall I deliver you even so? To this effect, sir, after what flourish your nature will. I commend my duty to your lordship. Osric exits, and Horatio and Hamlet continue to insult him. He does well to commend it himself. There are no tongues else for his turn. This lapwing runs away with the shell on his head. Hamlet laments that this is typical of new courtiers. He did comply, sir, with his dug before he sucked it. Thus he had, and many more of the same breed that I know the drossy age dotes on, only got the tune of time, and, out of a habit of encounter, a kind of yeasty collection, which carries them through and through the most fanned and widowed opinions, and do but blow into their trial, the bubbles are out. Suddenly a lord arrives to inform Hamlet that everyone's waiting for them in the hall. Are we going to do this thing? My lord, his majesty commended me to you by young Osric, who brings back to him that you attend him in the hall. He sends to know if your pleasure hold to play with Laertes, or that you will take a longer time. Hamlet takes this man a little bit more seriously. I am constant to my purposes. They follow the king's pleasure. If his fitness speaks, mine is ready now, or whensoever, provided I be able as to now. The lord instructs Hamlet to exchange pleasantries with Laertes before they begin dueling. The king and queen are coming down. In happy time. The queen desires you to use some gentle entertainment to Laertes before you fall to play. She instructs me well. The lord exits, and both Horatio and Hamlet express concern about the situation. You will lose, my lord. I do not think so. Since you went into France, I have been in continual practice. I shall win at the odds, but thou wouldst not to think how all hear about my heart. But it is no matter. Nay, good my lord, it is but foolery, but it is such a kind of gainsgiving as would perhaps trouble a woman. If your mind dislike anything, obey it. I will forestall their repair hither, and say you are not fit. But Hamlet won't have this. Not a whit. We defy augury. Hamlet finally has his moment of clarity. He realizes he can't accept his fate, and he explains to Horatio more or less that today's the only day we ever know, and since tomorrow's not promised to us, there's nothing we can miss. There's a special providence in the fall of a sparrow. If it be now, 'tis not to come. If it be not to come, it will be now. If it be not now, yet it will come. The readiness is all, since no man of aught he leaves knows, was it to leave the times. Let be. The action then switches to the grand hall with everyone present. Claudius begins the proceedings. Come, Hamlet, come and take this hand from me. Hamlet takes his opportunity to apologize to Laertes. Give me your pardon, sir. I have done you wrong, but pardon it as you are a gentleman. This presence knows, as you must needs have heard, how I am punished with sore distraction. Technically speaking, it was the mad Hamlet who wronged you. I'm feeling much better now. What I have done that might your nature, honor, and exception roughly awake, I here proclaim was madness. Was it Hamlet wrong, Laertes? Never Hamlet. If Hamlet from himself be taken away, and when he's not himself does wrong Laertes, then Hamlet does it not. Hamlet denies it. Who does it then? His madness. In other words, Hamlet's the victim here. He's the one who's been suffering with madness. If it be so, Hamlet is of the faction that is wronged. His madness is poor Hamlet's enemy. Sir, in this audience let my disclaiming from a purpose evil free me so far as your most generous thoughts that I have shot my arrow over the house and hurt my brother. I am satisfied in nature, whose motives in this case should stir me most to my revenge. But in my terms of honor I stand aloof, and will no reconcilement till, by some elder masters of known honor, I have voice and president of peace to keep my name ungored. But till that time, I do receive your offered love like love, and will not wrong it. I embrace it freely, and will this brother's wager frankly play. Give us the foils. Come on, let's get to this duel. As they're looking over the swords, Hamlet makes a pun about being a foil to Laertes. Come on, one for me. I'll be your foil, Laertes. In mine ignorance your skill shall, like a star in the darkest night, stick fiery off indeed. You mock me, sir. No, by this hand. Claudius, give them the foils, young Osric. Cousin Hamlet, you know the wager? Very well, my lord. Your grace has laid the odds on the weaker side. I do not fear it. I have seen you both, but since he is better, we therefore odds. They continue to inspect the swords. This is too heavy. Let me see another. Hamlet, this likes me well. These foils have all the length. Osric, aye, my good lord. Claudius declares if Hamlet gets an early hit, all the battlements will be fired in celebration. Set me the stoups of wine upon that table. If Hamlet gives the first or second hit, or quit an answer of the third exchange, let all the battlements their ordnance fire. The king shall drink to Hamlet's better breath, and in the cup a union shall he throw, richer than which 4 successive kings in Denmark's crown have worn. In other words, Claudius is getting ready to drink to Hamlet's health, but he's put the poison pearl in that cup. In other words, Claudius will offer Hamlet a cup of wine with a pearl in it, and the audience knows that pearl is poison. Give me the cups, and let the kettle to the trumpet speak, the trumpet to the cannoneer without, and the cannons to the heavens, the heaven the earth. Now the king drinks to Hamlet. Come, begin, and you, the judges, bear a wary eye. Hamlet, come on, sir. Laertes, come, my lord. On the first exchange, Hamlet scores a hit. Judgment! A hit! A very palpable hit! Laertes wants to go right away, but Claudius pauses. Stay, give me drink. Hamlet, this pearl is thine. Here's to your health. And with that, Claudius drops the poisoned pearl into the cup of wine, offers it to Hamlet. Give him the cup. I'll pay this bout first. Set it by a while. And so now Claudius has to do something with the poison cup, so he sets it down nearby. On the second exchange, Hamlet scores another hit. Come, another hit. What do you say? A tush, I do confess. Everyone's enjoying the show, and Claudius says to Gertrude, our son will win. Gertrude, so happy for her son, grabs the cup of poison wine, brings it over to Hamlet. He's fat and scant of breath. Here, Hamlet, take my napkin, rub thy brows. The queen carouses to thy fortune, Hamlet. Good, madam. And then Gertrude goes to take a big swig of the wine. Claudius, Gertrude, do not drink. Gertrude, I will, my lord. I pray you will pardon me. Gertrude drinks the poison. It is the poison cup. It is too late. Claudius can't stop what's happening. Hamlet again declines to drink. I dare not drink yet, madam. By and by. Come, let me wipe thy face. Laertes takes a moment to talk to Claudius, but he's speechless. My lord, I'll hit him now. I do not think it. Laertes, and yet it is almost against my conscience. Starting to feel there's something wrong about what he's doing. But Hamlet taunts Laertes, and that makes him forget any guilt. Come, for the third, Laertes, you do but dally. I pray you pass with your best violence. I am afraid you make a wanton of me. Say you so? Come on. Laertes, with his sword dipped with poison, comes at Hamlet and cuts him. Hamlet knows right away something is wrong because these swords shouldn't have the ability to cut, and then they begin to fight much more for real. Have at you now. With Hamlet and Laertes now fighting for real, their swords fall to the floor, and Hamlet picks up the poison sword, and Laertes gets the other one, and Hamlet strikes Laertes with the poison sword. Claudius calls for order. Part them, they are incensed. Nay, come again. Osric notices that the queen has fallen. Look to the queen, ho! So Hamlet's bleeding, Laertes is bleeding, and Laertes hits to the ground. Horatio, they bleed on both sides. How is it, my lord? Osric, how is it, Laertes? Why, as a woodcock to my own springe, Osric, I am justly killed with my own treachery. Hamlet, how does the queen? Claudius, she swoons to see them bleed. But Gertrude realizes what's happening. No, the drink. Oh, my dear Hamlet, the drink. I am poisoned. Hamlet calls for the doors to be locked. Oh, villainy, ho! Let the doors be locked. Treachery! Seek it out! Laertes confesses. It is here, Hamlet. Hamlet, thou art slayed. No medicine in the world can do thee good. In thee there is not half an hour's life. The treacherous instrument is in thy hand, unbaited and envenomed. The foul practice has turned itself on me. Lo, here I lie, never to rise again. Thy mother's poison, I can no more. The king to blame. Hamlet, realizing that he has the poison sword, decides he's going to use it on Claudius. The point in Venom 2, then Venom, to thy work. And everyone's calling out, treason, treason. Claudius is out of allies. Oh, yet defend me, friend. I am but hurt. Not only does Hamlet use the poison sword, he makes a dying Claudius drink the poison too. Here, thou incestuous, murderous, damned Dane, drink off this potion. Is thy union here? Follow my mother. Laertes, in his dying breath, hopes that he can get forgiveness from Hamlet. He is justly served. It is a poison tempered by himself. Exchange forgiveness with me, noble Hamlet. Mine and my father's death come not upon thee, nor thine on me. Hamlet forgives him. Heaven make thee free of it. I follow thee. I am dead, Horatio. But this is how he says goodbye to his mother. Wretched queen, adieu. So the whole court's looking at this dumbfounded, and Hamlet tries to provide some explanation. You that look pale and tremble at this chance, that are but mutes our audiences to this act. Had I but time, and his fell sergeant Death is stricken his arrest, oh, I could tell you, but let it be. Hamlet commands Horatio to tell everyone what has happened. Horatio, I am dead. Thou livest. Report me and my cause aright to the unsatisfied. But Horatio's not a member of court. Why should they believe me? Maybe it's better that I just follow my Lord Hamlet. Never believe it. I am more an antique Roman than a Dane. Here's yet some liquor left. Hamlet orders him to put down the cup and defend his memory. As thou art a man, give me the cup. Let go. By heaven, I'll have it. O God, Horatio, what a wounded name. Things standing thus unknown shall I leave behind me. If thou did ever hold me in thy heart, absent thee from felicity a while, and in this harsh world draw thy breath in pain to tell my story. Off stage, there's a loud noise. What warlike noise is this? Osric, young Fortinbras, with conquest come from Poland to the ambassadors of England, gives this warlike volley. So, Fortinbras and the English ambassador have just shown up. Hamlet, oh, I die, Horatio. The potent poison quite overcrows my spirit. I cannot live to hear the news from England. In his final breaths, Hamlet confirms that Fortinbras is the rightful king of Denmark, and he releases Horatio from the vow made in Act 1. Be sure to tell everyone what has happened. But I do prophesy the election lights on Fortinbras. He hath my dying voice, so tell him, with the occurrence more and less, which have solicited, the rest is silence. Hamlet dies. Horatio now cracks a noble heart. Good night, sweet prince, and may flights of angels sing thee till I rest. Fortinbras arrives with the English ambassador and just sees chaos in the court. Where is this sight? Horatio, what is it you would see? If aught of woe or wonder, cease your search. Fortinbras, this quarry cries on havoc. O proud death, what feast is toward in thy eternal cell, that thou so many princes at a shot so bloodily hast struck? The ambassador is dismayed because we just did you this big favor, so who's going to thank us? This sight is dismal, and our affairs from England come too late. The ears are senseless that should give us hearing, to tell him that his commandment is fulfilled, that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Where should we have our thanks? Horatio, not from his mouth, referring to Claudius, had he the ability of life to thank you. He never gave the commandment for their death. But since so jump upon this bloody question, you from the Polack wars, and you from England, give order that these bodies high in a stage be placed to the view, and let me speak to the yet unknowing world how these things came about. Horatio summarizes the play. So you shall hear of carnal, bloody, and unnatural acts, of accidental judgments, casual slaughters, of deaths put on by cunning and forced cause. And in this upshot, purposes mistook fallen on the inventors' heads. All this I can truly deliver. Fortinbras, let us haste to hear it, and call the noblest to the audience. For me, with sorrow, I embrace my fortune. I have some rights of memory in this kingdom, which now I claim my vantage doth invite me. Horatio, of that I shall also cause to speak, and from his mouth whose voice will draw no more, and let this same be presently performed, even while men's mind are wild, lest more mischance on plots and error happen. Fortinbras wants Horatio to tell the story right away, but first, let 4 captains bear Hamlet like a soldier to the stage, for he was likely, had he been put on, to have proved most royal, and for his passage, the soldier's music and the right of war speak loudly for him. Take up the bodies. Such a sight of this becomes the field, but here shows much amiss. Go, bid the soldiers shoot. The end. Recap, Act 5, Scene 2. Hamlet suspects the duel is a trap, but accepts his fate. Hamlet, Laertes, and Gertrude are poisoned. Hamlet slays Claudius. Fortinbras has returned to take the throne, and Horatio recounts the play. Hence, time is out of joint in the play. The play ends with Horatio taking us back to Act 1, Scene 1, and the play is on a constant loop. Perspectives. Horatio. As Hamlet is dying, Horatio considers drinking from the cup. Hamlet's order to tell his tale gives Horatio a sense of purpose. Horatio begins retelling the tale, and the play begins anew. Fortinbras receives his fortune, the throne of Denmark. Denmark needs saving. After his victory in Poland, Fortinbras delivers stability to Denmark. Gertrude, stuck by Claudius and becomes one of his victims. Genuine love for Claudius, or did she just want to preserve her position? Loves her son, but even in death, Hamlet does not forgive her. Laertes, betrayed by his own plan. He allowed Claudius to convince him that he was more skilled than Hamlet. He watches Gertrude drink the poison, then poisons Hamlet. He asks for forgiveness as he dies. Claudius, in the end, valued the throne more than Gertrude. He allows her to drink the poison. His plan backfires. Hamlet is mortally wounded, also causes multiple deaths. Slain by Hamlet. Hamlet realizes he cannot escape his fate. He defends himself in the duel and finally gets his revenge. He dies stoically, giving Fortinbras his support to be king, and orders Horatio to set the record straight. The final audience point of view. Justice is served. Claudius's crimes will be revealed. Hamlet, again, resigned to his fate. Order has been reestablished. And Hamlet's downfall is also the story of Fortinbras's rise to power. Hence, Fortinbras needs Horatio to tell the story to justify him being king. And again, Horatio telling the story gives him agency, and he becomes the narrator of the play. This has been an objective reading of William Shakespeare's The Tragedy of Prince Hamlet. I believe this is a story every writer needs to be familiar with. It does an excellent job at characterization, overall storytelling, and its contributions to the English language cannot be overstated. So it's unfortunate that this play is less and less taught in schools for whatever reason. So again, I want to put it here on the channel in the hopes that more people can enjoy the play. If there's any other Hamlet content you'd like me to cover, just let me know. Be more than happy to make up the video. And in the meantime, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the future. Have a great day.